What's going on, everyone? It's Adrian from Draft Time, and welcome to another picks video. Tonight is Friday, December 20th, and we have a huge slate of NBA games tonight. And I'm going to give you my top sleeper pick, my top stud, and my top value picks for tonight. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you the top lineup that's generated by using our lineup optimizer, which you can access on drafttime.com. You can sign up for a free 7-day trial and you can cancel anytime before that. Before I get into my top picks, I want to go over some injury updates. So we have a few players who are questionable. First of all, you have Fred VanVleet, who's questionable, which the Raptors are already depleted. And I'm going to go over some value picks later on, regardless of whether or not Fred VanVleet plays a game or not. But if VanVleet does in fact miss the game, then it's going to add that much more value to all these players that I mentioned. Some more players who are questionable are Jarrett Culver and Karl Anthony Towns, both for the Timberwolves. So if those guys do miss, it's going to add value again to Gorgie Deng and Josh Okogie. And the last injury update you want to keep an eye on is Devin Booker. You might want to consider picking up a player like Frank Kaminsky. He's going to be one of the main players who pick up that scoring void that Devin Booker leaves behind. But anyways, that being said, let me go ahead and get into my top value picks. Now, my first value pick is basically the whole Raptors team. In particular, Chris Boucher, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, and Serge Ibaka. Okay, Boucher is $3,500 on FanDuel, and we project him to score 28.21. And he's $3,300 on DraftKings, where we project him to score 27.55. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson is $3,600 on FanDuel, and we project him to score 28.16. And he's $4,100 on DraftKings, where we project him to score 28.17. And then Ibaka is $7,400 on FanDuel. We project him to score 40.98 on there. And he's $7,400 on DraftKings as well, where we're projecting him to score 41.62. So Boucher and Rondae Hollis-Jefferson are pretty much min-priced on FanDuel. So they have huge value there. Boucher has been very productive in the limited minutes that he plays. Whenever he gets good minutes, he's a very productive player. He just hasn't had the opportunity, but now that the opportunity is there and he's probably going to play in the mid-20 as far as minutes go, he should be pretty productive. The same applies to Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson in years past has been a very productive player, and he's been one of those guys that's typically been underpriced in daily fantasy, but he's also one of those guys that could have a huge impact on your team, and he's had some huge nights in the past. And with the depleted Raptors team. Oh, I forgot to mention, when I say the Raptors are depleted, they're without Norman Powell, they're without Marc Gasol, and now they're without Siakam. So that's why these guys have a ton of value. And like I was saying, if Fred VanVleet misses this game, then these guys are gonna have even more value. But there's other guys on the Raptors you might want to consider. Guys like OG Anunoby, guys like that. Maybe even Lowry will have some more value if VanVleet misses. So keep an eye on that. Huge value on the Raptors team, and you might want to mix your lineups up. Maybe have one with Boucher, another one with Rondae, maybe a couple with both of them together. So you want to mix that up. Try not to have all three guys in Boucher, Rondae, and Ibaka on your GPP lineups, because it's highly unlikely. I mean, they all play a pretty similar position, so it's highly unlikely that all three of those guys end up having big games. But anyways, that being said, let me go ahead and get into my next value pick, and this is for FanDuel, because he is $3,900 on FanDuel, and that's Markieff Morris. Okay, so there's no Christian Wood. And Blake Griffin is also out tonight. So Markieff Morris is going to have a much bigger role tonight. We're projecting him to score 26.31 fantasy points on FanDuel. A guy like him being priced under $4,000, that's already huge value. And now when you couple that with the fact that Christian Wood and Blake Griffin are both out, and what Markieff Morris is capable of doing. He's had huge games in the past. This is a no-brainer. Got to pick him up on FanDuel. And on DraftKings, Langston Galloway is my top value pick for DraftKings. He's $3,300, and we're projecting him to score to 23.58 fantasy points. And I forgot to mention, Luke Kennard is also out. So that's why someone like Langston Galloway is going to have huge value. He's already averaging 19 in his past 5 games. So with all these injuries, that should go up, which is why we're projecting him to be a top value pick for DraftKings. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's get into my top stud for tonight, and that's going to be Andre Drummond. He is $9,600 on both FanDuel and DraftKings, and we're projecting him to score 52.78 and 53.05 fantasy points respectively. Now, I already mentioned there's no Blake Griffin, there's no Luke Kennard, there's no Christian Wood, and Andre Drummond is already averaging over 51 in his last 5 games, and being that he's priced under $10,000, he's priced in the 9,000s. It's a no-brainer. You have to pick him up. I especially like his value on DraftKings if Karl Anthony Towns ends up missing a game, because that way you could pick up Andre Drummond and Gorgie Deng, both centers, which you can't do on FanDuel, obviously. So huge value for Andre Drummond, especially on DraftKings if Gorgie Deng ends up starting. But anyways, let me go ahead and let me get into my top sleeper for tonight, and that's going to be Dwight Powell. He's $4,400 on FanDuel and $3,800 on DraftKings, and we're projecting him to score 21.36 and 21.12 respectively. Now, what I like about Dwight Powell is that he's averaging 27 minutes over his last 5 games. He's had some big games this season, included a 45 fantasy point game not too long ago. If you go back to last season, he had a couple of 50-plus point games last season, so he has huge upside potential. I don't think too many people are going to own him tonight because he hasn't been particularly productive despite averaging high minutes, but I think he has the capability of being productive. He's done it in the past, and he has huge upside. I don't think too many people are going to own him, so he's my top sleeper for tonight. So you might want to consider locking him into a lineup or two just because he has that boom potential. Okay, now with that being said, let me go ahead and let's run the top lineup for FanDuel. And again, this is most likely going to change. It's only 12:30 p.m. right now Eastern time, so let's go ahead and run it. And for FanDuel, you got Ben Simmons, Kemba Walker, Bruce Brown, Bradley Beal, Markieff Morris, Jonathan Isaac, Chris Boucher, Serge Ibaka, and Andre Drummond. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's run the top lineup for DraftKings. And for DraftKings, you got Langston Galloway, Derrick Rose, Bradley Beal, Rondé Hollis Jefferson, Tobias Harris, Chris Boucher, Serge Ibaka, and Andre Drummond. Okay, now I want to show you how to lock in Dwight Powell. Okay, you come over here to where his name is and you click this little lock icon, and now that ensures that he's going to get picked up in every lineup, and then you click generate lineups, and now this is the top lineup with Dwight Powell locked into it. So let me know if you guys have any questions, and good luck tonight, guys. Peace.